In the stillness of ancient lands, where desert winds whispered over pagan temples and the echoes of idols filled the air, a voice rose. It was not the voice of a conqueror, nor of a king. It was the voice of a humble apostle, a man whose heart burned with divine fire, Saint Jude Thaddeus, servant of Christ and herald of impossible hope. He had walked with the Master, seen the resurrection, and carried that same light into the dark edges of the world. But now, far from Jerusalem, far from every comfort he had known, Jude stood before the powers of darkness one last time. This is the story of his final witness, his martyrdom, the moment when love conquered fear and faith triumphed through blood. In the years after Pentecost, Jude journeyed eastward, beyond the safety of the Roman roads, into the mysterious lands of Syria and Persia. He and his companion, Simon the Zealot, preached the gospel in a world wrapped in superstition. They healed the sick, cast out unclean spirits, and proclaimed that the living God had walked among men. But their preaching stirred anger. Pagan priests and temple magicians, fearing the loss of their influence, began to plot against them. An ancient text, the Golden Legend, records that an angel appeared to Jude and Simon that night, saying, "Choose you this day, that the people perish, or that you yourselves be martyred for their conversion." Without hesitation, they answered, "Lord, lead us to the pain of martyrdom, that others may live." Heaven fell silent. And so it was decided. Tradition tells us they entered a great city, some say Beirut, others Armenia, others the plains of Persia, where idols towered over frightened people. There, before the temple of the sun, Jude spoke with fearless clarity. "These stones are not gods. Only the Lord who made heaven and earth gives life." At his words, the statues trembled, and the crowd gasped as unseen forces fled from the temple. Enraged, the priests cried out for vengeance. Soldiers were summoned. The air thickened with hostility. At dawn, the apostles were seized and dragged through the streets. Jude's face bore no fear, only peace. The mob struck him down with a heavy club. Even as he fell, he whispered the name that had become his life, Jesus. Wounded but unbroken, he was lifted once more, and an axe was brought forth. With one final breath, he looked toward heaven. His eyes, filled with light, spoke a wordless prayer of mercy for his persecutors. And then, the blow fell. In that instant, the voice that had once preached in Galilee was silenced on earth, yet it resounded forever in heaven. The earth seemed still. The crowd dispersed. Yet, unseen to human eyes, angels gathered the soul of the apostle and bore it to glory. His followers would later retrieve his remains, some say from Beirut, others from the mountains of Armenia, and carry them to Rome, where his relics rest beneath the Basilica of St. Peter. There, beside Simon the Zealot, the bones of a martyr whisper to the world, faith does not die. Love does not end. Over the centuries, devotion to St. Jude spread. To the desperate, to the forgotten, to those in impossible trials, his intercession became a beacon of hope. For he who died in desolation became the saint of deliverance. And so, the death of Saint Jude Thaddeus was not defeat, it was transformation. A soul consumed by divine fire cannot be extinguished. In his final hour, Jude gave the church a living message, that courage is born not from strength, but from love, that hope is stronger than despair, and that every sacrifice offered for Christ becomes an eternal seed of grace. Today, when hearts falter and faith grows dim, his name still